Buckleguy DIY leather wet molds. We currently have 14 styles of wet molds, 2 triangles, 4 rectangles, 2 pills, a heart, 2 octagons, and 2 circles. Now, with our wet molds, you'll see they're 3 pieces. Most molds you'll see will be 2 pieces, just a bottom piece and a top piece. We've actually made ours as a 3-piece set for a reason, and that is they're stackable. So if you wanted to make a deeper mold, just get a second mold, put one on top of the other, and now you have a deeper wet mold. You could continue to stack from there if you wanted. We chose this wood because it's very water resistant. So you can see they're not lacquered, and they don't have to be. We've used our molds over and over without lacquering them. They work just great. It's also very smooth, so you don't have to sand it. It should be ready to go, though certainly if you wanted to sand it a little bit, if you notice any marks on your leather after molding, you could definitely do that. So I'm going to quickly take you over the 5 easy steps for using these wet molds. First step is going to be choosing your leather. You'll want to use a vegetable tanned leather. It takes water better, molds a lot firmer than a chrome leather. So this is a natural veg tan. This is Corba cow carving leather. Definitely a natural leather works the best, though you could also use a dyed leather like a skirting leather, or even a other veg tan leather like Wicked and Craig English bridle or traditional harness, also mold great. And you'll want it to be about 2 inches, the cut to be about 2 inches bigger than the mold itself. And actually, if you want to just make one or a few at a time, you're trying out a new leather, our panels start at a half square foot, 1 square feet, 1.5 square feet, or 2 square feet. And they're all 11 inches wide. And our largest mold is actually 9.5 inches. So really any of these molds, you should be able to get panels to go with them. So you can just get one, or with 1 2 square foot panel, you could fit 2 or 3 molds out of 1 panel. So really good yields there by the panel if you're not ready to go for a full hide or other larger piece. So once you've chosen the leather, you want to soak it. Really, all you need to do is put it in a bath of warm water for 5 to 10 minutes should be enough. Might be a little longer if it's a little more oily of a leather, but a natural veg tan shouldn't take too long. Warm water is best, not too hot, not too cold. Okay, now we've had our panel soaking in a vat of warm water for about 10 minutes. A little piece of advice for when it comes to the soaking part. You're probably going to use a wide flat tray like this. I recommend bringing the water to the tray in a pitcher as opposed to trying to fill the tray up and carry it, because these trays spill very easily and you'll make a mess. So we've had it soaking. Next step will be to insert it into the mold. About the mold, you'll see that the center piece has one side that is rounded and one side that is not. You're going to want to put the rounded side facing up. That is because this will be the inside edge of your tray, and you'll want that to have a nice rounded inside edge. So that's why we do it that way. So I'm going to take the leather out here. The water drip a moment. You can see it's nice and loose now. Didn't have to soak long with this natural leather. Other thing you need to remember is for most tray designs, you're going to want to put the flesh side of the leather up, because this is going to be the bottom of your tray. So when it's in the mold, the tray is facing face down. So got my leather there. Going to take my mold and just force it over the top. Should be able to do this with your own strength and pressure. If you happen to have a clicker press, that works great for this. You can just take the whole mold with the leather, put it in the clicker press, click down a little bit at a time till it's all the way down. Otherwise, great tool is simple hardware clamps, the ratcheting kind. Those can force it down too. And that's what we're going to do next to make sure it gets all the way into the mold, is use the power of the ratchets. And this is best to do from corner to corner to get even distribution all around. So just gonna center it here. Start in the top corner. Go down a little bit. Switch to this corner. Again, a little bit at a time. Gonna alternate corners again. And I'm gonna go back into the, actually go to this side and do each side on the centers, because I only have 2 clamps here. Ideally, you want 4 clamps, 1 in each corner, but does work okay with just 2 if you use them to force down the corners first, like I just did. All right, got it good and tight now. Pressure on each side. My mold is in there, good and secure. So I got it clamped down and secured. And the final step is simply, you're gonna wanna leave it in a dry place for 24 hours to dry, and you're gonna be all set. If you take it out and it still needs a little more dry time, maybe you're using finished leather that just takes a little more than a natural leather like this, you can always take it out of the mold and let it dry a little more out of the mold. So after a little bit in the mold, it's going to keep its shape just fine, and you can let it dry a little more out of the mold. After you've let it dry and taken it out of the mold, you'll want to cut the excess leather around the edges. You'll see there's a lot of extra leather here. I used a 1 square foot panel and didn't cut it to shape. You don't need to, again, waste this much leather. You can kind of have a better yield. If you cut it, you only need to be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches around each side before you insert it into the mold. But after you take it out, you'll cut it to have a nice smooth edge around, finish your edges, and your tray will be done. And that's how you use the Buckleguy DIY leather wet mold trays.